So this is discussion board 5, and this week we were asked to do a video post about an approach or a technique or something that we found either in class or in our text that we really liked, and then kind of express how we would use this or tailor this in our own population. So in chapter 5, the dance and movement chapter, there is an activity called the feeling pulled activity. So essentially in this activity you would have a client kind of identify a stressor or a situation that is either a presenting concern or something that may be, just difficult that they're dealing with, and then have them start to walk away, and the counselor holds on to their arm or their wrist, and a understanding of how much pressure is being put on the person is agreed upon, and then you talk about the discussions. For example, you talk about what may be causing you to move forward, what may be preventing you from moving forward. And what I really liked about this activity is, one, it covers so many things. It can entail so many different stressors. It is something that is not specific to one certain approach to counseling. It's not specific to one specific theory. And I like the idea of the client being able to say to you, this is it, and I'm feeling just pulled in a direction. Or not even pulled in a direction, being prevented from going in a direction that they'd like to be in, or be moving forward. So I liked that idea, and I think that it's just so transferable along every single line of counseling. Now I could see where in school counseling the idea of touch, the idea of that force, it might not be understood on a cognitive level, where if you had your client go home and speak to their parents about what you may have talked about in counseling, they might say, well, they held my arm, and I think that might be it might cause situations to between the client and the counselor and the family. But I think if it's defined prior to going into the counseling setting, and you speak with the parents and explain, hey, these are some of the techniques, then maybe it would be appropriate. What I was thinking about in career counseling was the idea that it wouldn't necessarily be pulling the client or preventing the client, but we could talk about where the client feels they might want to go in career or their occupation or vocational aspirations, and then ask them what's pulling you in that direction. What are some of the things, and highlight them, so then the client has the ability to go back and reflect on positives and negatives. So we could use two polar occupations and have the client then say, well, what's pulling you in this direction? Well, it's this, 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 and this. And then you can have them do it in another direction, which is a completely opposite occupational choice, and say, well, what's pulling you this direction? Well, it might be just financial means. And I think that it would create an understanding with the client that you've got to be thinking about all aspects of your occupational choices or your vocational choices or educational choices, and what are those positive aspects, and what does it mean to you, and what is important to you. So I thought it was a great way of a great way not to be too intrusive or to utilize too much movement if you're not necessarily comfortable with it, but it's still a great way for the client to be able to express a rating scale, an observational rating scale that you can write down and then express and put into words. And it's also a great technique that can be used in so many settings, in a variety of settings. So I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was a great way to incorporate movement into the counseling session. So thank you. Everybody have a good weekend.